Okay, so once you are receiving flow data, it's a good idea to check whether they are all good. So the easiest thing is to go to the monitoring center and start there. You can, of course, choose source by source. Uh, so just to make sure you know which one is the one which you have checked. So generally, it's good to see even the last 5 minutes or something. So first thing would be just to see first 20 flows, and we will actually sort them by start time of the flow. So by doing that, you can double check whether the timestamp in your received flow data do make sense, first of all, because currently today is 21st of June 2024, 10:46, but I selected time from 10:40 to 10:45, so this one is still good, and you can see all the others are 10:40. So this will give us, okay, we have pretty good timestamp. If you have seen here some date which is in the future and in the past, you know that the source is providing you wrong timestamp, so you can change the configuration of receiving port to fix them. The second thing is duration. You should see some duration if it makes sense. Generally, that duration shouldn't be longer than active timeout on the flow source. So if you see here long-lasting communications, like duration above this 5 minutes, that can point to you that there is definitely a problem with the active timeout on the source. Then you see all fields, so port, source IP addresses, protocol, for TCP, whether there are some TCP flags, number of packets, bytes, all of that's filled, so that's good. Also, it's good to check that we see both ways of the communication. So in this case, we can see actually right here on top, we have a pair, right? We have request and response from the server, and response, we see 10 packets, 7 packets. So generally we can say we see both direction of the communication. You can, of course, double check this one for various VLANs or parts of the network where just to make sure you see that kind of traffic from everywhere, because the bidirectional traffic is very important for anomaly detection system and for troubleshooting. Then, if you want to double check whether there is any sort of duplication, usually the easiest thing would be to search for proto UDP and port 53, because basically if there is a request and response to DNS query, it should be always one packet. If you see here multiple packets in a single request and response, like often, it could mean that the packets are seen multiple times, so they will be counted as such. So here we can see there is one packet, so the duplication isn't there. Like the similar thing, when there is a sampling, you will probably see this number multiplied, so that's okay as well. So if you have, for instance, sampling 1 in 300, you will see here always 300, and this multiplied by 300 as well. So in that case, it's all right. But in case where you don't have any sampling, you should see for the DNS most of the time one packet, unless there is some zone transfer, which should usually use TCP anyway. And you can check the visibility if it's good enough. So we have now the DNS. So let's have a look on the DNS view just to make sure we are seeing the DNS extensions as we would expect. And you can see, yes, we have here response, type, what kind of question it was, what was the response, there was no error, and things like that. So this one will show you that we have working DNS. Of course, you can do the same for HTTPS, for VLANs and everything. If you want to just double check whether there are any fields like that, usually the fastest is go to the statistics and do, for instance, for VLANs, let's write it here, VLAN. So we say any VLAN, VLAN, any VLAN, and just click on process. It will give us whether there are any VLAN tags. We don't see any, we don't have any on this machine. We can do the same for HTTP hostname, for instance. So HTTP hostname, if we see any host names. So this way you can double check whether you see what you expect and what you have configured. So we see that. So in this case, you can quickly check this, that everything should be all right and we are getting good enough data. So, and also you would know what you can work with.